everybody, John12 back here again with another video, and I'm here with some more top 5 lists. Yes, it's that time of the week again, so let's get into this week's top 5 list. This week I give you my top 5 best rated R comic book movies. Yes, last time I gave you my top 5 worst list of, obviously, movies that I consider to be the worst rated R comic book movies of all time, and now it's time to give you the best. Now, these are movies that, personally, in my subjective opinion, are the best in its genre of rated R comic book movies, and of course are also either A, critically, or B, financially successful in the rated R genre, and of course the comic book superhero genre, or just in the comic book genre in general. But with that being said and done, of course, with all my lists, they're subjective. It's my personal list, my personal thoughts, so please, in the comment section below, give me your top 5 list of the top 5 best rated R comic book movies of all time. But with that being said and done, let's get into this list. Coming number 5 has to go to Zack Snyder's Watchmen. Yes, of course, this year has been not a great year for Zack Snyder as a filmmaker. However, he has done some great movies in the past, and even though Batman v Superman did not live up to the hype, I do have a very specific appreciation for it, seeing as how I have watched it again, and even though I still feel my review stands, and my rating for it does still stand, go check it out, but regardless, I think it's an okay movie. But regardless of any of that, Watchmen is an awesome, epic adaptation of the Alan Moore comic, and for me personally, I get it. People will not like this movie because of how iconic and great the comic book is. I understand that. There's nothing that could ever beat the comic book. There's nothing. Nothing could ever beat that comic book. Alan Moore's book is just one of the definitive graphic novels of all time. It's undeniable. However, I feel like Zack Snyder's ability as a filmmaker to really take a comic book that everyone says is impossible to translate into film and make a movie out of it. Yes, there's some things missing. Yes, maybe there's a different portrayals of certain characters and certain interpretations, but at the end of the day, it's a great movie. I love it. I always like it. I always check it out every freaking year. It's a great movie, great soundtrack, great visuals. It's just an epic DC movie all the way. And of course, it's Watchmen. Watchmen is just awesome. And if you don't like the movie, it encourages you to go check out the original source material, which is Alan Moore's book, which you should check out regardless. But as it stands, the movie is great as well, and I think it's just epic and badass. But moving off of that, and going into number 4 on this list goes to Kick-Ass. Kick-Ass, what can I say? It's just a badass freaking movie. I remember seeing it back in the day and thinking, this is kind of what I want these kind of movies to be. In this specific genre we're living in, we have a lot of comic book movies. We have a whole bunch of superhero epic awesomeness, and then Matthew Vaughn came in and was like, let's make a freaking comic book movie that has no superpowers, but it has the same wacky attitude and just in-your-face graphic awesomeness. Of course, it's based off Millar's comic Kick-Ass, and at the end of the day, the comic book is, you know, epic and badass as it stands, but Kick-Ass the movie is just great. I just love this film. I love the interpretation of the characters. I love the graphic violence, the characters. Hit Girl was badass. Pretty much introduced us to freaking Chloe Grace Moretz, if I'm even saying her name correctly, yes. And of course, come on, Nicolas Cage was in this movie and he wasn't bad. He was awesome. He was in a comic book movie multiple times. He was Ghost Rider, for fuck's sake, and that movie sucks. But this movie doesn't, and it actually makes you kind of feel like he could be great in comic book movies. Hell, he might even make a good Batman in an alternate universe that we will never see, except in this one. It's freaking awesome. Kick-Ass is badass. The sequel, not so much in my opinion, subjectively, but overall, the first Kick-Ass is epic and badass, and I love it. Moving off of that, going to number 3 on this list, has to go to Dredd. Dredd is, of course, the reboot to the Judge Dredd franchise that started with the Stallone film back in the day. And, of course, the Stallone film Judge Dredd ended up on my worst list. On the best list, it has to go to the reboot Dredd. For me, personally, this is just a hands-down amazing and underrated film. It's so graphic, it's so violent, it's so in your face, it does great justice to the Judge Dredd franchise, comic book series wise, which I actually am not that big of a fan of. I like Judge Dredd, but I wasn't never a really huge fan. I only knew Judge Dredd for mostly the Stallone film from back in the day. But then this movie came in and completely kickstarted a love and maybe even an obsession with Judge Dredd, the comic book series, and the entire franchise that is Dredd. And for me personally, Carl Urban is badass as Judge Dredd. He kicks ass, he beats ass, and he has an awesome voice. I know a lot of people before Ben Affleck was casted were like, after seeing this movie, he should be Batman. For me personally, he was awesome as Judge Dredd, and I would have liked him because he had a badass voice. Maybe he could have been Batman, but at the end of the day, Dredd was awesome, and hopefully one day we will get a sequel to this film because it is epic and deserves the attention that this movie specifically, sadly, didn't get. But with that being said, moving off that, going to number 2 on this list, has to go to Robert Rodriguez and Frank Miller's Sin City, one of my favorite rated R comic book movies, and based on one of my favorite Frank Miller books. Frank Miller, love him or hate him as a person, he is a great writer of comic books and a great artist, and obviously he completely reshaped the Batman universe, reshaped the Batman franchise with Dark Knight Returns, and he's made a ton of amazing books and amazing comic books outside of DC and Marvel universes rather, and of course gave us I'm just saying, if you love Netflix Daredevil, you like Batman, well, he inspired that shit, so you better like him. And Sin City is badass. The series is amazing. Rob Rodriguez did a great job adapting it into live action. He took the panels, put it right there on the big screen. Basically, that's it. Quentin Tarantino directed some stuff. Frank Miller directed some stuff. Robert Rodriguez made a gigantic 3D CGI clusterfuck of violent, rated R comic book epicness. Sin City's awesome in my book. Personally, I didn't like the sequel as much, even though Naked Eva Green in black and white is always good. I like this movie a lot more. It's just everything I could have wanted from a live-action Sin City. But with that being said and done, let's get off of that and go into some honorable mentions that did not get on this list, but are amazing rated R comic book movies that could have been. Starting off with The Crow, the original with Brandon Lee, 300, Blade, Blade 2, Kingsman, which was also very great, V for Vendetta, which almost ended up on this list, taking out Watchmen, but for me personally, as much as I like V for Vendetta and Alan Moore, superheroes, obviously always take the front seat. But of course, moving off that, Punisher Warzone, once again, another very underrated comic book rated R movie. American Splendor, Darkman, which isn't technically based on a comic book, but inspired by, and of course, at the end of the day, 30 Days of Night. Just an awesome movie. And then a Heavy Metal. Granted, it's animated, but I'm counting it. It's rated R and it's based off comic book magazines, so I'm counting it. But moving off of that, and getting to number 1 on this list, has to go to Deadpool. Deadpool proved itself amongst all the complaints and all the craziness that people went into before this movie went production with the Comic-Con leaks and all the, is this movie ever going to happen? Is Ryan Reynolds ever going to play this character? Is it going to get justice after the calamity that was X-Men Origins Wolverine? And we finally got it with Deadpool. The marketing alone pretty much did justice to the freaking Deadpool character, and Ryan Reynolds destroyed. He was born to play Deadpool. The Deadpool movie is hands down the greatest rated R comic movie of all time and ever. I don't think there ever will be another rated R comic movie that could top Deadpool. I'm possibly going to eat my words one day, but as it stands now, I don't see. Maybe Deadpool 2 when they freaking, show us some other characters that we can't wait to see, but beyond that, we'll see what happens. But overall, that's been my list of top 5 best rated R comic book movies list. Hope you guys enjoyed. Of course, comment below. Let me know what you personally think about this list of movies that I think are the best in said genre, which is rated R and, of course, comic books. Let me know in the comment section below what you personally think. But with that being said and done, comment below and let me know. Shameless plug time. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Jock12. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't done so already. And hope you guys enjoyed. And this has been Jock12.